Welcome to NARAL's The Morning After. Each Thursday, our podcast brings you the latest on reproductive health care, progressive politics, and the fight to keep abortion safe and legal. NARAL's The Morning After is a production of NARAL Pro-Choice Ohio. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at ProChoiceOH. Enjoy the show.
Hi, I'm Gabe.
Hi, I'm Randi.
Hi, I'm Jaime.
And our favorite candidate, John Kasich, is in it again, talking about women. He's at a town hall, which he loves to do. And there was a girl there, and she asked him about, how can we prevent sexual assault on college campuses. And so he started talking about some programs that they've done here in Ohio. And then he wanted to mention to her as well that she should not go to parties where there's a lot of alcohol. He should have also just said, don't be around men. Like, honestly.
That was kind of the level of it.
Yeah, basically. Basically, I love people saying the memes, basically people saying, and in other news, if you never want to be robbed, don't own anything ever.
Yeah.
And if you don't want to be murdered, go ahead and die.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. He was kind of saying, get thee to a convent, get thee to a nunnery.
Yeah.
Is that the line?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Exactly. And it's like, again, it's like, why did it, instead of saying that, why isn't the first instinct to say, young men shouldn't be raping women? Why is it never, it's always the onus on women to, say that they, you have to prevent yourself from being raped.
Right.
It's just really it's very annoying.
I think he didn't say that because that line of thought, that understanding of, what needs to be said was appropriate. It's not on his radar at all.
No.
He has no idea that that's a thing.
Yeah, exactly. And it's it's kind of crazy that, other people see that and they're like, oh, that's good advice. You shouldn't,
Right.
go around and you shouldn't be where there's going to be alcohol. It's like, really now? Really? Then why do you tell men to stop drinking too?
Yeah.
Right.
If it's both, no.
Mm-hmm.
Because you always want to put the onus on women.
Right.
Which is really ridiculous.
Men can never control themselves, especially when they're drinking alcohol.
Yeah.
Is really what it comes down to. So women have to do everything.
Right.
Exactly.
Well, I looked at that, and the question from the student, because this wasn't just a, hey, what do you think about rape? He's running for president. She was asking him what's going to be his policy, what's his plan. The question was, what are you going to do to protect students like me from sexual assault?
Yeah.
So it was, what is John Kasich going to do?
Yeah. He's going to tell you.
And he listed out, we're going to work on prosecution and we're going to get better with rape kits, both of which are after the fact things.
Yes.
And then the only thing close to being actual rape prevention advice was to tell her, to avoid these situations, which is kind of on par with victim blaming. And I know you get into a lot of discussion, with people who do have that sort of, oh, well, that's good advice, but there's nothing in his understanding of rape and what causes rape to talk about, education of boys on what rape is, how to avoid becoming a rapist, not to have sex with a girl if there's been a lot of alcohol.
Yeah.
Not to have sex with a girl if she's asleep, if she's on drugs, if she can't give consent, if she just hasn't given consent yet. None of that education, which is the core of how we prevent rape,
exactly,
is anywhere in his understanding. He has no clue.
No.
Yeah.
Well, and then to take it a step farther, yesterday the Columbus Dispatch went all in support of him.
Surprise, surprise.
Surprise, surprise. The newspaper hasn't endorsed a Republican since God knows. A Democrat since God knows when.
Right.
So they wrote an editorial basically saying, well, the science is behind what Kasich said. A woman is so much more likely to get raped if she's been drinking.
Right.
Alcohol doesn't cause rape. You know what causes rape? Rapists.
Yes. Exactly.
So, and they actually like doubled down on it and said not only should women not go to parties where they're drinking, women shouldn't go to parties where men are drinking. So now not only are women responsible for not drinking themselves, but they're responsible for making sure that the men aren't drinking either, because once the men drink, they can't do anything but become a rapist, which is like the most insulting thing to guys on the planet. You're basically saying all men are inherently rapists.
Right.
And can't control themselves when they drink alcohol.
Yeah.
And I know
and alcohol is what causes it all.
Yeah. Not the systematic sexism and rape culture that we have in the United States.
Exactly.
And I flipped through the Columbus Dispatch and I saw them advertising breweries, and I saw them advertising beer night at the baseball game, and I've seen them advertising liquor brands. And it's like, well, if we're really this concerned about alcohol, then why on earth are you guys out here advertising what you're classifying as rape fuel?
It was funny because the research that they used it doesn't even back up what they were saying. It was because it wasn't saying that that's causation to it.
No,
it just happens that alcohol is involved in a lot of those spaces, but that doesn't mean causation.
No.
And so, but they were saying that, because alcohol's there, then this is what happens.
Yeah.
No.
You not drinking that night might stop you possibly from getting sexually assaulted, but not guaranteed. But that rapist is still going to be there at that party, and he's going to find somebody else who he is going to rape because he wants to exert his power and control over somebody else. And that's what rape is all about. It isn't about drinking alcohol and being drunk.
Right.
Although in Ohio, it is completely legal for a husband to drug his wife and then rape her. Fun fact about Ohio law. It's illegal for forcible rape.
You're using the word fun incorrectly.
I am. Another quote unquote fun fact.
Greta Johnson, Representative Johnson, has that legislation to ban spousal rape.
Yeah.
Has not been given a single hearing so far by Kasich's Republicans.
Yeah. So.
And it's the same Republican leadership in the state house that blocked Planned Parenthood from Violence Against Women Act funding.
And that is prevention funding. That is actually funding talking to boys about not becoming rapists.
Right.
That's what that program was. It was the RPE program. It's a rape prevention education program that they defunded.
Yeah. And then
we don't need that. No. Just stop drinking. Problem solved.
And in the same bill, there was the block on comprehensive sex ed funding. Can't go to Planned Parenthood or any entity that contracts with Planned Parenthood. So Kasich's administration has actively worked to make things worse for women, for rape survivors.
Yes. And I found out yesterday that Ohio and my home state of Georgia are the only two states out of all 50 that don't have anything about dating violence on the books. We don't have no definition for dating violence as in Georgia.
It's the two states that you've lived in?
Yes.
So apparently Randi Gregory, by causation, is the problem.
I know, right?
It's all your fault, Randi. All your fault.
That's a good example.
So we should give Kasich the walk of shame this week. Actually, no, you know what? The editors of the Columbus Dispatch for doubling down on that bullshit actually get the walk of shame.
Yes.
Because I'm pretty sure, although we haven't completely confirmed, that there are no longer any women on the editorial board of the Columbus Dispatch. And I guess it just kind of shows what kind of editorial content we're going to get now that it got bought by that big, huge company in New York and is no longer a locally controlled newspaper.
Right.
So, yay, Columbus Dispatch, you get the walk of shame. Thanks. So on to fabulous news.
Yay.
New York voted 2 days ago now. Yeah. I was going to say last week. God, it's been a long week.
Yeah.
2 days ago.
2 days ago. Tuesday.
New York voted as very much expected. Trump ran away with it with 60%. Kasich did actually come in second though. For the whole 25%. He
conquered the spaghetti vote.
Yeah.
The spaghetti and sandwiches and
since he ate his way across New York City. And
like, good for you. You beat the guy who every New Yorker hates.
Exactly.
So that was a feat. Like, Kasich.
Go team.
Coming in second over Ted Cruz and his New York values statement. No one likes him there anyway. then that's the only place, that you could come in second at.
Yeah.
You won nothing else. Like, what are you doing? Like,
Ted Cruz is kind of the embodiment of that old salsa commercial where they're sitting around and it's New York City. New York City. So yeah, Ted Cruz isn't going to work in New York.
Yeah. So so Kasich accomplished nothing by coming in second.
No.
But he still wants to be hanging in there. And
For
before we get before we get to the actual good news of the story, there was reporting yesterday that Kasich's campaign is broke.
Oh, really?
That he's totally out of cash. And I mean, it's very apparent to everyone watching that his whole thing is, I'm just going to hang in there and see how the convention goes. He doesn't care what happens in any of these states. He's just waiting for his party to figure out a way of kicking Donald Trump out the door. And then he'll be the guy that they magically turn to. But if Trump keeps winning states, I mean, they kind of have rules around this sort of thing. He's getting the votes. It's not supposed to be up to the Republicans in the smoky, room in the back.
Yeah, exactly.
It's supposed to be up to the Republican voters who, unfortunately, in their stupidity, are choosing Trump. So,
and I say, go Trump, go. Yeah. I hope you get the nomination because we're going to beat your ass in November. Right. Seriously, he has terrible... there's never been anyone who has had this high unfavorability ratings as Donald Trump, like, ever. Yeah. Even though now he's trying to, like, quote unquote tone it down some, but really that's not going to work.
Yeah, it's been interesting. He's got whole new campaign staff and everything, and his speeches have been completely different. Yes. They've been much more like stereotypical political speeches in a presidential campaign. They've been a half hour. Right. He's been showing up to rallies on time instead of 3 hours late. He's been, much more under control recently.
I think somebody at the Republican, committee had a conversation with him, and that's exactly what's happening. And so Kasich was counting on all of these people abandoning Trump. Yeah. They're realizing that they can't afford to do so because the nomination has rules.
Exactly.
And so, I don't think Kasich's plan is going to work the way he wants it to.
No.
Because it can't. And there's rules behind that. So meanwhile, he's out there. His campaign is broke. He's spending Ohio taxpayer dollars. That was today's Toledo Blade editorial.
$350,000.
Was
that a number I saw yesterday?
I think that's the old number. I think the new number on Ohio taxpayers is $2 million because we're paying for the security and stuff to follow our governor around no matter where he goes, even if that's his own political campaign. So we're footing the bill right now for him to take this gamble and see if he can win.
I'm okay with that.
Which we know he can't.
I'm totally okay with that because he stays outside of Ohio and stops screwing us over.
He got mad at the Never Trump movement because he said they didn't do enough in New York, which is true. I thought it was so funny. Someone the other day said about the Never Trump movement. They're basically like two people meeting in a back room saying, "Oh, you don't like Trump? Oh, I don't like Trump either. High five." But they're not doing anything really.
Yeah. I mean, we tried to beat George Bush once that way and it didn't work out.
Yeah.
No.
So... And it's going to be interesting because then we're going to see, basically a lot of people are like, well, never Trump. And the other side's going to be never Hillary. And few people are going to actually be rooting for either of the candidates. Yeah. Speaking of Hillary
won too.
Yay!
Buried the lead. So she won like 58-42. It was a really good a really good win for her. Really showed that, her home state, her adopted home state has adopted her.
Yes.
And really gave her back the momentum. We knew that she was ahead with delegates and she, was still doing strong. And the fact that, Bernie won the last 5 really wasn't that big of a deal in like delegate math because they were tiny little states and he didn't win by huge margins.
Right.
But, so it was nice to see, that nice big win for her. And to, continue the momentum towards the nomination in Philly.
Philly.
The other P city in Pennsylvania.
Right. It was interesting. I was watching MSNBC that night. They had on Bernie's campaign manager, and he was basically explaining what their strategy is to justify Bernie Sanders staying in the race. And so, their old strategy was, hey, we're doing really good. We're going to win the popular vote. And then if we can just get some superdelegates to flip, they should side with the people. They should side with the popular vote. And now it's becoming very clear that they're going to lose the popular vote.
Yeah. I mean, they're behind by a lot.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so now they're saying, well, we're going to lose the popular vote, but those super delegates should switch anyways, which is the most asinine statement. He said that, and people around the country were like, wait, what?
Yeah.
I mean, because they keep bringing up, well, they all switched from Hillary to Obama in 2008. And like, they switched because Obama won everything and he was winning.
Right.
It's really annoying the way they've talked about superdelegates this whole time, because the superdelegates are not who's deciding this. I mean, if it was really, really close, if they were running neck and neck on delegate math, they could swing it one way or another.
Right.
But the fact is that she's winning by large margins in delegates on pledged delegates without the superdelegates even there. And if Bernie started winning, they would flip over.
Mm-hmm.
But they're not going to flip and support the loser of the campaign. That's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
We aren't the Republican Party with, how all their delegates are going to flip over to Ted Cruz if they go to a second vote. Our people, pick the winner.
Right.
And the Democratic voices have, really started speaking out and saying they support Hillary. She's winning in every category, and delegates and popular vote, everything.
Right.
Yeah.
So
I hate it when people's just like, we can argue about whether or not like we need this whole delegate system, but don't wait until we're already in the election and then you're losing. So you're mad. So now, this is a bad system. We don't need the delegates. Like, okay, well, then you should have said that beforehand and try to get rid of it beforehand. Don't wait until you're already in it. And also my issue is like I said, I like Bernie. I like his ideas and everything. But at the same time, at this point in time, it pisses me off that he only ran as a Democrat because he knew he would never win as an independent. And also that he says he's not going to raise money for down ballot races for Democrats. What the hell are you going to do in office if you have you have a Republican Congress, you have a Republican Senate? This is not a dictatorship.
No.
Right.
Then what are you going to do with the presidency if you have nobody else like supporting you and you're just in there? Like, that makes no sense. So why are you saying that you're not going to help other Democrats get elected? And I'm not saying that having all Democrats in office is somehow going to magically like cure all our issues. Of course not. But at the same time, that's better than having majority Republicans, what we have now, and you're not going to get anything done that you've said that you want to get done. Like, you're making no sense.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and also rich white people discovered voter suppression.
Discover their version of voter suppression.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
They
just found out about this thing that's apparently been happening.
I know. Shocker. When it happens to you, it actually exists.
Their version of voter suppression is they missed the deadline to register for the party that they want.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
they missed the deadline.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, to be honest, I think you should be able to register however the hell you want to and get whatever ballot you want on the day you go into the ballot in every freaking state. I mean, that's how it should work. You shouldn't have to register to vote 30 days out and all those things. Those are actual voter suppression. Like, that is actually voter suppression.
Having to have an ID and you got to go pay for the ID. That's a poll tax.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But the fact is that New York has these rules where you've got to, officially, it's not an open primary. You don't get to declare that day which party you're in. You've got to declare it well ahead of time, because whether you like it or not, these are party votes. These are not just open everyday votes. You know? So, if you're a member of the independent party, whatever one that is, Libertarian, Greens, whatever, you get to vote in that election. If you are not a Democrat, you don't get to vote.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
this whole, well, I'm an independent and I should be able to vote in the Democratic primary.
No,
actually, that's not how it works.
Yeah. If you want to be an independent, you don't want to be a part of the Democratic Party because you think it's corrupt and they're like corporate whores or whatever, then you should have ran as an independent and get out of our party and trying to fuck it up. Like,
right.
That's what really makes me mad about all of that, because it's like, then you're not really authentic, because you knew that if you ran as an independent, you weren't going anywhere. So let me just run as a Democrat so I can really see how far I can go, but I'm not going to really support Democrats. Like, no, then run as an independent.
Yeah. It's like each of these partisan elections on each side are basically a game, and they create their own rules, and they created the rules ahead of time. And so watching the Sanders campaign try and change these things midway through the game, it's like, hey, wait a minute, you haven't even been in this game trying to change the rules. You've been sitting on the stands.
Exactly.
Because you're not in this game, and now you want to be in the game and change the rules.
Yeah.
That's not how it works,
Well,
you know.
I mean,
and John Kasich's got the same problem. I mean, he at least has been in the Republican Party, but he's still hoping that somebody will change the rules for him. You establish the rules at the beginning of the game. You know, you set the rules at the beginning of the election season.
Yeah.
And you don't wait till you get to the convention and, oh, wait a minute, now we need to, you know, Kasich hasn't won these 8 states that's required, but we should let him get in somehow. No.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing is that, you know, it frustrates me with watching Trump is that, and Bernie both, is that do the groundwork then.
Yeah.
Right.
Rallies, don't turn voters out.
No.
Yard signs,
we see that.
don't turn voters out. What turns voters out is outreach. So, you know, the Trump campaign should be doing the, you know, delegate outreach that Cruz is doing instead of just whining about Cruz doing it better. Well, you do it better. And if Bernie knew that his key of to winning New York was convincing independents to vote for him, that deadline was a couple months ago. Like you could have done a field program encouraging independents to re-register as Democrat so that they could vote for you.
Yeah.
Right.
Do the work that's required.
Exactly.
Don't just bitch about it. Yeah, the rule's kind of stupid, but it was the rule and you knew going in. So
And
you
he's got a
change your
mountain
field
of cash.
program.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's got the money to pay for this. He's got an army of supporters. They could have gotten this done, but they're not organized because they're not, you know, within a party system that has the experience to actually play the game.
Don't talk to me about running my country. You can't even effectively run your campaign. Like, seriously.
Yeah.
But, you know, I think it is good that we're getting a new light shown on exactly how our elections work, exactly where things are screwed up. You know, I think this is kind of funny, but out in California, there's news stories because they're getting ready for their primary coming up, I think, in early June.
Yeah.
And so they're hitting these registration deadlines. And the one name that popped out in one story I read was Demi Moore, I guess, can't vote in the Democratic primary because when she registered, she said to herself, well, I don't believe in these parties. I'm an independent. So she checked the box for independent, but really she checked the box for American Independent Party, which is an actual party. And now when she pulls her ballot, she's going to vote for their candidate for president.
Who is
in the primary. I don't know.
Okay.
Do they have someone?
They might in California.
They might in California. But apparently they're horrible. They're anti-choice. They're anti-immigrant. Yeah, they're not a good party.
It sounds so nice. American Independent.
Yeah, I know. Oh, she checked the box. I'm sure that's probably half of their supporters. Half of their registered voters are people who
like,
thought,
I'm an independent.
This is independent. Wow.
And they saw the name and saw,
part.
independent. I like independent things.
Yeah.
No, you don't.
No, not that one.
And so, you know, in November, she'll get to vote for, you know, her choice for president. But in June, in her primary, she's voting for her party's ballot.
Wow.
Well, and I think the other piece of most of this is that usually by the time we get to New York and California and all these ones in May and June, it's over.
Yeah.
Like, it's been over.
Exactly.
I mean, we were all expecting by the time we got to Ohio, because we pushed it back by 2 weeks, it would have been over, you know?
Yeah.
So the fact
I think technically it is over. They're just hanging on.
I agree.
Well, and I think, and you know what, I go back to, you know, because there are a lot of people who are starting to say Bernie should get out.
Yes.
And
if he's going to go down the path he's going down now of trying to be like negative and pushing like this agenda, like his ad about, you know, Congress giving speeches, which is illegal. Nobody can give speeches and get paid for it. Like that's illegal. That's illegal for you to do.
Yeah. But you know what? I remember how I felt in 2008 when everybody was saying Hillary should get out.
But
and I wasn't ready to let go. And so, like, you know what? Like, he can say he should stop being the negative jerk that he's been recently. Like, I like the fact that he's pushed Hillary to the left. I do very much like that. And I like that there was a competitive primary, because a coronation of Hillary would have been very bad.
Exactly. I agree.
At the same time, like, he needs to figure out his strategy for getting out and how he's going to do that. And then, unlike what he said on MSNBC or wherever I saw the interview, he needs to do what Hillary did, which was give a speech that pulls it is his responsibility to do it in a way where people come over.
You're using the word responsibility wrong. No, I think it's totally two different animals. In 2008, Hillary was a respected member of the Democratic Party and wanted to continue to be a leader within that structure. And so it was in both the party's best interest, because at that point, she was mathematically out of it.
Yeah.
And it was in her best interest to, remain respectable within the party. She did exactly what was the smart decision. And that's why she made, an excellent choice for Secretary of State. This is somebody who was competing against President Obama in a respectful way. And okay, she didn't come in first. She didn't win the game. But, she had a great spot on his team. And that's why her career continued to progress. Bernie Sanders is not a member of the Democratic Party. He has no interest in becoming a leader among Democrats.
It doesn't matter if he had interest. He signed the paperwork to be a member of the party, and he has a responsibility in that way to pull it together in the end. He's not going to.
He's got two interests right now, and one is to continue fundraising because he likes having a mountain of cash, and two is to be a burr in the side of moderate Democrats in this country. And he doesn't accomplish either of those goals by jumping out. And so I think it's in our best interest for Bernie Sanders to get out, and it's in Hillary's interest for Bernie to become respectable. But I mean, he's still the guy.
I wasn't talking about his best interest, though. I was talking about his responsibility as a candidate in the Democratic presidential primary is to do that in his own time and in his own way. It's not tomorrow. Continuing to push it, but
I think he's going to become more and more belligent.
I think he is too, and people are going to continue to
work towards his
work
two
towards
goals.
hating him too.
Yeah,
because he continues to do that. But
it's unfortunate, but I mean that's the game that he's been playing from the start. It's rushing in off the stands and trying to change the rules of somebody else's game.
They did a really great article about him today in WAPO. Basically asking the question after this New York primary and his loss, then it based the question like, you're still in here, like, what does Bernie want? Like, why are you still going? And it's now like an uphill battle, a very slim chance of you being able to get the nomination. So what is your real goal here?
I mean, he still thinks that there's going to be some magic revolution, right?
Yeah.
Oh.
So,
all right. So next on our topic, on our agenda, the Treasury Secretary, Jack Lew, made an announcement yesterday, which they'd kind of hinted at in the news, that Harriet Tubman is going to be the choice to be on the $20 bill, which, I think I'm thrilled. I think that's absolutely the right choice. So they had previously said that Alexander Hamilton was going to get bumped from the 10. And then there was a huge outcry
because
of people.
Hamilton.
Largely because of the musical. They're like, no, wait a minute. Hamilton was a good guy. Andrew Jackson was the asshole. The guy on the $20 bill is the one. And that was the origin of the whole movement was, hey, you know what? That Andrew Jackson guy, he sucks. And we don't have women on here. We should replace him with a woman. It wasn't, we need women on currency. Where could somebody go? Yeah. It started out as, let's get the racist guy who actively worked to kill Native Americans who owned slaves. All of that. Yeah. Let's get him off of the $20 bill. And then we'll probably with some woman. Yeah. And I think on this podcast a couple months ago, I was like, well, it's going to be Harriet Tubman. So
Gabe wins.
I'm thrilled with that. The downside to all of this is they still have to play by the Treasury Department's systems. That it's their game and their rules. And you can't just change currency overnight. This is a long process. Yeah. And that Randi and I were at a meeting with Congresswoman Beatty, Joyce Beatty, and she got this question. And she explained that the congressional committee that was providing oversight to the Treasury in this decision-making process, they picked the $10 bill, not because they wanted to replace Hamilton, but because that's what was scheduled to be next. Changing these bills has to have congressional approval, and the next one up was the 10. So they wanted to have this happen sometime relatively soon. The 20 isn't up, and those bills aren't going to be released until like the year 2030.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a long time before we see Harriet Tubman on currency.
Well, and then I also saw an article that said that Andrew Jackson's still going to be somewhere on the bill,
He's
like
gonna be
on the back.
I saw that too.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell is that about?
Yeah, I
like,
don't know.
Abolitionist on the front, slave owner on the back.
like I just
In America.
It's like those people who put the sticker on their pickup truck that's the Confederate flag and the American flag. And I'm like, those are opposites.
Yeah, exactly.
Those guys fought each other. You can pick one or the other, but not both.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. So like I don't I'm conflicted. I think it's fabulous that a woman's going to be on a bill, and honoring Harriet Tubman is fabulous.
Yes.
On a bill that like was the amount of money she got like for working and like doing her job, and like
that was her army pension.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
her army
Civil War.
pension
Yeah.
for doing that. And I don't know, I have feelings.
It's conflicting feelings. I've been seeing a lot of people talking about it, of course.
There have been.
Yeah, a lot of people talking about it and complaining like, why are we putting her on blood money and all this stuff?
Not
and I'm
that
just
far,
like,
but yeah.
but I mean, I feel though, and I feel what they're saying, like, they're saying like, she fought against a capitalist society. Then on the other hand, it's like she used money to, get slaves out of, to get slaves from their slave owners. And it's kind of like I'm a realist. I'm a pragmatist in most cases.
Right.
So my thinking is we're not going to stop using money anytime soon.
Right.
And I'm a firm believer in representation matters.
Yeah.
Because I feel like even for me, seeing, Black women doing things that I've never seen them do before. And then that makes me, because it's like, you don't know what you don't know. And I never even think about, oh, there's Black women doing this. I didn't know that. That's great. And so to me, it's like, we're going to have it. And then, little Black girls will see, oh, it's a Black woman on my 20. Like, I think that's cool. So, but again, I get what people are saying about, putting Harriet Tubman on money. But so, yeah, I get the conflicted feelings. But at the end of the day, like I said, we use money. We're going to keep using money.
Right.
20s are what you get out of the ATM.
Yeah.
So she's going to be very popular.
Right.
Fistful of Tubmans.
It's pretty fabulous. Yes.
So it's like I said, people feel conflicted, but I think at the end of the day, it'll be a good thing because we never had a woman on money, and now we do.
Right.
And she was a great American.
Yeah, I saw the same blood money comment from people, and I'm like, oh, come on, this is progress. Don't let what the perfect is the enemy of the good.
Exactly.
Okay, maybe it's not perfect. I mean, this does not solve financial inequality, racial inequality in this country. Nobody thinks that it does.
Yeah.
And a lot of the arguments are like, well, we still have income inequality, pay inequality. Nobody's expecting this to solve that, and we shouldn't turn it down.
Yeah.
We shouldn't say, no, we don't want Harriet Tubman on the 20 because Black women still make less money than white women. You're not going to turn that away. So for people to get outraged, oh, well, they shouldn't do this to Harriet Tubman. Like, she's not good enough for money.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's a good thing. It's not a perfect thing.
Yeah.
It's a good thing.
Yeah.
She is, I think, the excellent choice. She's the perfect choice to do this. And no, nobody thinks it's gonna, that would have been the argument of let's not put her on money because, our country's not perfect. That would have been a bit like saying, well, let's not vote for Barack Obama because there are Black people suffering elsewhere. So we shouldn't put somebody, that's Black in the White House. Well, no, it's not going to solve everything, but it's a great step forward. This is progress. Let's take this and move on, knowing that it doesn't solve everything.
Yeah. It's a small gesture.
Yes.
Of,
it's a
we
good
want
gesture.
to recognize that there's other people in our history who've done really great things besides these white guys who are on all the money. And so we're trying to honor her.
Right.
Yeah. It reminds me of a conversation. So back in 2008, I have friends who, this little girl is now way older than I like to admit, but she was in kindergarten, and like a week before primary election day in 2008, she came home and they had done the kindergarten class on money. So they'd learned everybody who was on the bills and everything else. And she came home with Mama, why aren't there any girls on the money? Question. Like, why are they all boys? Like, what the heck? And and she's like, well, because they're all presidents. And a little girl replies back with, but there could be a woman president, right? Like, isn't there one running?
Right.
And of course, both my friends were Barack Obama supporters at this point. and so they were like, yeah, there, Hillary Clinton's running. And little 5-year-old looks up at mom and like, and we're gonna vote for her, right? And
in 8 years, yes, we will.
No, I'm proud to say that the next week they went and little 5-year-old pushed the button for Hillary Clinton, and she got one of her parents to switch over, canceled each other out. But I joked that I was going to take that little one around to all my other states, and Hillary would win if she gave her a little, but mom speech. So right. In her lifetime, she is going to see a woman she's going to see a woman president, and she's going to see a woman on money. Exactly. And that'll be fabulous.
I think that's fabulous as well.
And I do, to reiterate my other point, Harriet Tubman is absolutely the right choice.
Oh, heck yeah.
I mean, I've said this from the beginning. If you ask a third grader, who is Elizabeth Cady Stanton, they'll be like, who? They have no clue. Yeah. And I've heard some other names picked out.
Susan B. Anthony.
Susan B. Anthony, who was already on
Eleanor
money.
Yeah,
Roosevelt.
she was on money, just not paper money, yes.
Right.
Yeah. She was. Eleanor Roosevelt was one.
Right. And third graders, they have no idea, who were these people? What did they do? They got no clue. You say Harriet Tubman, and a third grader says, oh, she freed slaves.
Yeah.
And they might not know all the details about her life, and they might not, but the thing that she did was incredibly powerful and easy to understand.
Exactly.
And I think that's really key. You can't have somebody on there that half the people, having to like search for who this person is and whatever. This shouldn't be the educational tool. Yeah. This should be, hey, we've got a person that's, what they did is so powerful. Everybody gets it. And so I think Harriet Tubman is absolutely the right choice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
she's awesome.
Okay.
Woohoo. So on fabulously amazing women.
Yay.
Got that transition right. Today, State Representative, I try to call her state senator every time. State Representative Teresa Fetter has Gloria Steinem in town.
Wow.
For several events. She had a political fundraiser breakfast this morning. There's a caucus fundraiser lunch this afternoon. And then there's a free program from 5 to 6 tonight if you're listening to the podcast right away, which is probably no one.
Yeah.
So you probably already missed it.
Our loyal listeners.
Yes, our loyal listeners who listen immediately, which you all should do. She's going to have a public program from 5 to 6:30 at the Ohio State House in the atrium tonight. Her book is out. You should go read it. I'm excited to start reading it because, frankly, my mom handing me Gloria Steinem books while I was in middle school was like my start into feminism. So seeing her today kind of, again, brought it full circle. It's really funny. Like every time you meet a celebrity, they don't remember that they met you because they meet 500 people a day. But of course you remember it. So like this is actually the third time I've shook Gloria Steinem's hand and introduced myself to her. I met her in college when I was in like the women's groups and those kinds of things. And then she actually came out in 2006 to rally our Get Out the Vote volunteers at one of our staging locations. Nobody but her can rock leather pants and high heels to canvas in Ohio at that age. Like I want to be Gloria Steinem when I grow up because I can't rock that shit now. So she came out then, and then now she's back. She's from Toledo. A lot of people don't know that. She is a Buckeye.
Oh, all right.
She told a hilarious.
Why we like her.
That's why we like her. She actually told a hilarious story of when she came back to Toledo to do some local TV program with some women leaders from Toledo a long, long time ago, and I guess some dude called in afterwards to complain that they had Gloria Steinem on TV and described her as that slut from East Toledo. And she's like, ouch. When I was in high school, that would have really, really hurt. But when I heard that, and now my adult, I'm a hardcore, like, let's go get 'em raw feminist, like she was like, yeah, like I'm gonna put that on my tombstone. The slut from East Cleveland. East Toledo. So yeah, it was very interesting and really awesome to see her and be surrounded by all of our amazing, fabulous women leaders in our legislature this morning. And I'm sure this afternoon will be just as fabulous as well.
Yeah. I've never met her before.
She's pretty
I'm excited.
Yeah, she's doing a book signing from 3:30 to 4:30 and then the program after that. So
Her book is called Gloria Steinem, My Life on the Road.
Yes.
So highly recommend that. The last couple things we want to talk about before we go, we've got a great program that we're starting up. It's called Amplifiers. We are looking for folks around the state of Ohio who want to become more outspoken, want to get some training and some talking points on how to talk about choice issues, things such as John Kasich's comments on rape and alcohol, and to be better prepared to respond to these quickly through letters to the editor, through call-in radio. And so you can sign up to join us in this project. Send me an email, communications@prochoiceohio.org. We'll have more information about how you can join the Amplifiers program. And then we're also looking at our schedule this spring for gay pride festivals around the state of Ohio that we'll be participating in, and our annual booth at ComFest. So all of those you can sign up. Check out our Facebook page. We'll be posting information there, and you can email Randi at volunteer at prochoiceohio.org.
Yeah, and if you're in Cleveland, just so you know, Pride is not until August this year because of the RNC. Thanks, Republicans.
Right.
So keep an eye out for the Northern Ohio ones later in the summer, because all those will be in June and July and August.
Yep. But mid-June, Dayton, Cincinnati, and Columbus Pride, and ComFest is the end of June. So if you go to our website, prochoiceohio.org, we'll have more information, and you can put your email into the little box and sign up to get our email notifications. That's the best way to keep up with us.
Yep.
So,
anything else going on, Randi? No.
Okay.
So we have some stuff coming up, but no set dates yet. So I'll keep you guys updated.
I realize.
Okay.
All right.
And we'll see everybody next week.
Bye.
Bye. Now, who is John Bars and why doesn't he vote?